I set a goal this year for 2015 to make over 100 grand, and I blew that out of the water. Gross profits, and I think I shot you some pictures of some bank statements. But recently I looked, and we got two more deals that'll probably happen by the end of the year. Profits by the end of the year probably be 240,000.
All right, thank you so much for watching. This is John Fedro with mobilehomeinvesting.net, and today I want to bring you two special guests, really crazy active investors. Stay tuned for this entire video because we're talking about 20 plus deals in your first year, getting started from nothing, how you can do the same thing, buying, selling, originating notes, doing that the correct way, the right way to make a lot of money. So please welcome me. Thank you so much for being here, Mike and Chris.
How you doing?
Hey, John.
Very good. I'm so glad to finally get you on the mic. This is something really cool. I've never done a video quite like this because of how active you are, because of the special message that we have for everybody at the end of this video, and just all the cool stuff that you're going to be opening up about your business, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's talk like some average numbers for the deals, or can we kind of jump into some deals that you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a real quick rundown of basic numbers, where Mike and I like to stay at in terms of total cost, which would include acquisition, it would include rehab, and then any other holding costs. We want to stay between $5,000 and $7,000 total.
All in.
And most of the homes that we've acquired up to this point have been $0 out of pocket. It's literally been free, just been given to us. So the bigger expenses are the rehab, and then also probably labor is the biggest cost out of all that.
Okay, so you're involved. Just so everyone listening, because I know that was kind of a moment where people were, wait, what? So most of these homes that you're getting, because of the relationships that you have with local communities, you're able to pick up and describe these homes. I mean, they're roof, walls, they look good, they look bad, double wide, single wide, 2, 3, 4 bedrooms, all appliances.
Everything,
Mix.
all between. I've had double wides given to me. I've had single wides. Newer homes, older homes, everything in between.
Question: the way that this is going now, will you be able to continue this? I mean, there's a finite number of mobile homes. There's a finite number of parks in Vegas. What's a long term? For the next, 2016, could this keep going?
So the numbers that we're looking at. We've done these 30 or so deals this year, and 95%, maybe even closer to 97% of the profit we've made this year has been out of 2 parks. There's over 100 parks in Las Vegas. Okay. So I don't even know what the number is, but that's a big number.
Yeah, you got that right. And are you in communication with these other parks yet?
No,
Okay.
I made the mistake early on in going to too many parks, and at that time I didn't have the capital to be helping those parks out, and they were blowing up my phone. Once they figured out and trusted what I was doing, they were blowing up my phone, and so I've strategically stayed out of those parks or from trying to go and let other parks know what I'm doing, just because at this time I can't help them. I intentionally stayed small this year and really figured this out, and now we're ready to scale this.
I think that's a big thing that you hit on the head, the trust. The trust from the park managers. You're not doing anything that's you need to be super, gymnast that's trained for 10 years. You're not a doctor, you're performing heart surgery. What we do requires a lot of work, but it's not rocket science, but it takes you, the person that's there every day. You answer your phone, you show up on time, you keep the homes there, you treat the park right, you bring good people into the park. The park managers have to want to work with you, and that relationship that you're developing, I think we kind of glazed over that trust, issue real quick, but that's huge. Without trust, you could be the hardest worker in the world, but you're not going to get any deals from these parks.
Yeah.
So,
something that we run into here, investing in mobile homes in Las Vegas, that's, other markets may have it in a different way. But we have investors that own or owners of parks in California that'll come to Vegas, and they'll also go to Phoenix, and they'll buy these homes out of these parks and pull them from here. They pay, 10, 20 grand for them, and they're nice, double wides. They take them out there, and put them in their parks out there, and they turn around and sell them for 150. So that's the big one that I run into. First meeting a park manager, and I tell them I'm an investor or that I work in the business. The first thing they're going to try and figure out is, are you one of those guys from California that's coming to buy and rip it out of my park? So,
how do you usually alleviate that concern?
It's basically through the relationship. I'll keep showing up. Obviously, you keep showing up, and a couple months goes by, and if I haven't bought a home in their park to prove to them that, hey, I'm going to buy this home and I'm going to leave it here, then they just see that, someone that's going to do that isn't, someone's going to, one of the investors that's coming from California is not going to keep showing up and keep showing face. Right. Because what those guys will do is they just find a for sale by owner. They go snap it up super quick. They don't even contact the park at all. They just rip it out.
Right. Yep. That makes complete sense. Man, it's messed up, but it makes complete sense. Yeah. How far of a drive is that from Vegas to?
4 hours.
Okay. Well, not very far at all.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your so that's your average deal when you're all in for about 5 to 7, and then on the selling side, what do you usually sell those for?
And we'll get into this later in the video in terms of the back end of the business. Mm-hmm. In terms of selling notes, originating these notes, but we're looking at somewhere between $1,000 to $2,000 for a down payment on average. And then we originate that note, and that's going to be somewhere between about $16,000 and $20,000.
Okay.
And no, continue.
Oh, with a little bit of interest on there?
Yeah. Interest rate 11.2%.
Okay. And for the folks watching, we're going to get into this in just a little bit later in the video. Perfect.
And then that monthly payment on that is going to be $300 to $400 per month on average.
Over lot rent.
Correct. We've had it as high as $600. So,
what's the average holding or the average
lot rent?
Well, lot rent, and then the average. Are you selling these for 5 years? The length of the note usually
between about 4 and 8 years.
Oh, good.
On average.
Yeah, nice. And then the lot rents usually
$525, $550.
Okay. All right, let's change the subject a little bit right now. And you got started, both around give or take a year ago. Super active. Time ain't nothing but a number. So, but what has surprised you since getting started in this mobile home investing that you just weren't expecting or completely just caught you off guard?
I guess for me it would be the once I started taking action, how not easy but simple it was. Nothing doing something where you're generating huge profits is easy, but it was simple. And taking daily actions to put myself ahead and move forward and getting into it a couple months and looking back, I was surprised at how simple it was. And
then I guess to piggyback off of what Mike just said, having always been involved with the real estate side, as opposed to now we're talking about personal property, and how everything changes and gets more simple, to use that term again. Like it's fantastic. So that was a huge surprise for me, like how everything just got less complicated. There's free range. You can do a lot more in terms of creative type things. So that was very surprising to me.
Right on. Excellent. Definitely an advantage.
Huge advantage.
Okay. Let's talk about the buyers now that you are finding. The typical buyer that you're finding and you're putting into the home. Can you describe them? They're working. Is it a family, a single person?
Yeah, we actually sat down with a good friend of ours, and he kind of just, what he does for a living. He goes and kind of, assesses businesses and offers advice on how to make them more efficient and run better. So we had him come and do that with our business as well. And one of the first things that he wanted to do was run down, who are your buyers? There's got to be a pattern, so let's identify what that is. And it is young couples that do have kids, and we're talking probably between about 25 and 35 years of age. And it was just amazing because it wasn't anything difficult he was doing. He was just basically going through every deal that we've done and just pointing out, who are these people? Why do they continue to pay rent, further, and they're never late, and all these things. And that's it. It's the sweet spot. 25 to 35 young couples, one or two kids, or maybe even more. That's where it's at.
All right, now that we've talked about the average deal, let's talk about the sort of the best and worst deal that you've had. I mean, over the past year now, how many deals now? What, 20 plus, 30 plus?
Close to 30.
Heck yeah. All right.
Cash deals, cash and finance deals, close to 30.
Excellent. What's the percentages on those, finance versus cash?
Like the first 3, I believe, are cash,
Okay.
and then the rest are finance.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, let's talk about the best and worst deal if you have those numbers and the figures and what went through your mind.
Sure. The best deal is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single wide home. It's a 1989. This is something that we acquired for $0 or free, which is our favorite kind. And we actually only had to put about $800 worth of rehab into the property, and then we were able to sell that within, I want to say, about 18, 20 days of actually acquiring and getting it fixed up and everything like that. So then we were able to originate a note on that. The note was for $20,800, $3,000 down payment, and then we actually ended up selling that note to somebody else looking to get a better return on their money. We sold that at par, and then total profit was $23,000 when you factor in the down payment, and then the ROI on that, when you calculate that out, that's 2,875%.
That's incredible. Right on. Now, the obvious question for someone watching is, why would this park? Now, and you said it only needed less than $1,000 in repair. So my mind says this is a nice home. It's ready to be lived in almost as is. Why would the park give this to you for nothing versus trying to sell it themselves?
Multiple reasons. One of them, the relationship that we spoke about earlier. Once they realize the value that we bring in terms of being able to get qualified buyers into their homes so they can collect their lot rent, because that's ultimately all they care about. They just want to stand back and collect that monthly lot rent. And then I would also say laziness. I don't think they're very good at what they're there to do and what they're supposed to be doing. So it's just massive opportunity for guys like us.
Understood. I agree with you. I think some people listening might say the opposite. They might be like, no, that's not true. Parks always are trying to, take the homes for themselves and fix them up and resell them. And I think that's not only different areas around the country, but also just different parks. Some of them, I don't want to touch the homes. I don't want to have a rehab crew. Please, you pay me lot rent and you can have them. And that makes complete sense to them. They wouldn't want it the other way. And then the parks that do repair the homes, they wouldn't want to give the homes away. So it really is, and you're clearly making money. There's clearly value there. I would have to agree that somewhat of the laziness probably factors in there a little bit. But if they didn't have trust, if they didn't trust you or like you, forget about it. You wouldn't be doing anything with that. So that was the best deal, over 2,000% rate of return. It's funny because I get jaded in this business. We hear, there's a couple 100% return and, that, or we don't make our money back in a year. And sometimes that just, I get kind of like, jaded to like, well, I don't even want to do the deal. If I can't make my money back in a couple months, forget about it. So, but I mean, that's so crazy in other forms of real estate. That isn't even on, that sentence doesn't even come onto people's mouths.
Yeah.
So best deal, clearly best deal. What number was that? Was that in the beginning or the?
That was the first finance deal.
All right. And then, so I guess the worst now deal that you
the worst one that we've done numbers-wise is going to be a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home located in Henderson, Nevada, so just outside of Las Vegas. And this is where we kind of, ran into some unforeseen problems. So we ended up putting a lot more money into it than if we would have maybe took some precautionary measures we could have avoided. So the numbers that we have, we acquired this for free. So this is, like everybody hears the term free and no money and everybody smiles and like, oh, that's unbelievable. Well, it does come with some some other things as well. So this one was a bunch of like the furnace, for example, is something that didn't work. So we ended up replacing the entire furnace, which can be a significant cost. So the numbers are the rehab ended up being right around $7,500. Down payment that we received on this was $1,500. We originated a note for $17,330, and when we sold that note, we ended up making just about $6,350, or an ROI of 76%. So numbers still are good. We still made a profit, but trust me, if we could go back and do it over again, we would have done it much differently.
Yeah.
What are a couple things? You said the furnace was something that did you just not check, or?
We didn't get the gas turned on to check it, and again, it's back to that relationship. The parks that back to, we've only worked with really 2 parks here in Vegas so far. They give us these ones for free, and yeah, there's some good ones, but there's some bad ones, and I knew that there would be a day where we would get one like this, and I can't we can't just sit there and cherry pick completely. Like, yeah, if one's like completely burnt to the ground, I'm going to say, yeah, that's probably not going to work. But I knew there'd be a day where again, we still made money on it, but it just wasn't the percentages, and we spent a lot of money on it, and it was a learning experience for sure.
And do you have a background in construction or repair?
I framed in college. I got framed houses in college. I wouldn't call that a background in construction, but that would be the extent of it.
What's something else besides the furnace that kind of you didn't expect?
The floor in the bathroom was soft, and I thought it would just take some patchwork and repair. We had to redo the whole floor in the bathroom. It just one thing led to the next, led to the next, led to the next, and we ended up pulling the whole floor out and redoing the whole floor in the bathroom. There was a remodeled bathroom on the front end of the home that they had taken. I don't even know what they were trying to do, but they were trying to make a closet, and however it ended up happening, when we got this home, the drain for the toilet was literally in the middle of the bathroom. So we had to re-plumb that and put the toilet back over where it was supposed to be, and yeah, just kind of weird stuff like that. But
that is a weird thing. That would be. I'm just trying to picture opening up the bathroom door, and then right in the middle, there's just
right in the middle is just a hole. It's like.
If you could change something, or you could tell yourself 1 or 2 things, a year ago, just to forward your progression, to not slow you down in some way, what would that be?
I would say spending more time on educating people with these notes to make this a much quicker, growth. Okay. Really, this year has been, we've kept it small, and for the simple fact of getting it figured out. And really, what it comes down to is our business model is a win-win on each side. We're helping people on this side get into homes that they weren't going to be able to own a home, and so we've had it more than twice now at our signings. We've had moms or girlfriends in tears hugging us. Thank you. This is amazing. Owning their first home. So we have that on that side, and then on the back side, being able to educate just everyday people on these notes and how they can get a better return on their money, and as opposed to being either in a CD or an IRA or God forbid a savings account getting 0.02%. So
you mean that's not good? What do you mean? I should do something else with my money? So that actually is a perfect segue. I wanted to wait a little bit, but this is really exciting. Now, full disclosure, folks listening, all 3 of us were involved in a deal together. Purchased your note. Very happy. Very taken back by the professionalism, by Doug, by your MLO, by the whole process that you have. You've been doing this for a year now, and everything that you've accomplished, and then the fact that you said, helping the buyers and the sellers, and then on the, when you sell these notes, I'm extremely happy. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Of these 30 deals now, let's talk about that. Just, sort of doesn't have to be right on the numbers, but just rough numbers now. The notes that you've sold, what those look like, who you've been finding, their responses, what the timeline looks like.
So, roughly 25 of those have been notes that we've sold.
Nice.
Every one of our note buyers is different. Not one of them is the same type of a person. So we have very few actual what I would consider regular real estate note buyers. What we found early on is that was a complete miss. A lot of times these guys are so in the weeds about regular real estate that they can't separate the fact that this is a completely different vehicle, and the opportunity in it. If you put the two side by side and just take away the names and look at the numbers and the process, there is no comparison. There literally is no comparison. This vehicle beats that vehicle hands down, and it's not even a race.
Great way to say that. So something big to overcome is just sort of what we would naturally think. People kind of turn in their noses up to mobiles,
exactly,
not even looking at the numbers or the people or the park or the area or the home itself. What sort of advice would you give? And every area of the country is very different. Your opinion, if you were telling somebody, you need at least so much money and time to get started in this business.
I guess the way I'll answer that is to my experience, and I think this is across the board, with investing in general. Either you got a lot of money and little time, or you have a lot of time and little money. Wherever you find yourself on that scale, you have to, I guess, realize that about yourself. I mean, looking at my first, my first finance deal, if I would have spent enough time up front to really get my relationship with that park manager good, and they trusted me, I could have started this thing with, $800. And so that's what I'll say is, I mean, figure out, be very, honest with yourself about where are you at. Do you have a lot of time? Do you have a lot of money? Do you have neither? Do you, what do you have the capability of doing? And just be honest with yourself and set yourself some realistic goals and go and get them.
The people buying your notes, who are these people? Doctors, lawyers, astronauts?
They're across the board. I mean, we literally have, one guy who he would be on the far end. He's been the only traditional note investor that I've been able to pull out of the weeds, and that took a lot of time. But he lives up in Portland, Oregon. He's one of our note buyers or investors. All the way down, we have a girl in Canada. We have a lady up in Reno. She's very well known in the note game. We have a lady out in Texas. We have people up in Oregon. My family members, his family. I mean, anybody and everybody that can hear the value in this and then trust in what we're saying. I mean, it's been good. So yeah, I mean, like my aunt, she's never invested a day in her life. She just sold her home that she lived in for 20 plus years. Early this year, she had money sitting in a savings account getting 0.02%. I explained to her what this was, educated her on it, and now she's getting double-digit returns on her money. So,
and even if anybody wants to shoot me an email, saying, asking about you too, or asking about the deal, please get in contact with me, support@mobilehomeinvesting.net. Mike, how can people reach you too?
My email address is hardestworking, REI, so hardestworking real estate investor @gmail.com.
Great. Excellent.
So phone number be 725-400-8898.
And I would just say, do not hesitate to call that number and just have a conversation. It's one of the things that I wanted to say earlier. If go back and do things differently, it'd be just to market ourselves and reach out to anyone and everyone, including yourself, sooner.
Yeah.
Do not hesitate.
So when you do, so let me ask you then, when you do find these note buyers, what is the, do you kind of see that light going off? Or, I mean, obviously they must be thrilled to do the deal once they actually do sit down and look at the numbers.
Yeah, I mean it's really just getting that um, just that, I guess, fear. When you say the word manufactured home or mobile home, and it comes with all the things that people normally associate the word with, and getting them out of thinking that and just looking at this as an investment vehicle that has a huge opportunity. And specifically here in Nevada, and then also again back to the paperwork that we have with Doug. I mean, the process that it takes. I mean, the process as you found, super easy, streamlined. It's there. There's very few moving parts. It's very easy concept to understand, and we've got it streamlined. When we're talking to these regular note buyers, they want to know LTV, and they want to know all these things that go with regular real estate, and it's just not here. It's not in this space. So that's been the biggest part.
Yeah, just to add to that, I mean, one of the things, we initially went after note buyers thinking like that was going to be the gravy, like that's who are going to buy our notes because they already are used to notes. But then talking with them, they're concerned with, well, what happens if the note stops performing? It's like, well, in the case of these manufactured homes, which are again personal property, not real estate or real property, it can actually be a very good thing. And that starts to raise the eyebrow, and all of a sudden they start inquiring, like, what do you mean? Explain. Mike and I have built a program. Specifically, Mike has put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it to where we're with our note buyers or just our investors every step of the way. We have, an investor in Canada, and she has no interest in knowing anything about manufactured homes. All she wants is a good return on her money. She's not going to fly down here and get this thing reperforming. She knows she can trust us and that we can do that for her and do it very well. And what I mean by how it can be an advantage, some of these tenant buyers, they're in this home, they're paying their monthly house payment or their monthly chattel mortgage, for 4 or 5 years, and then all of a sudden they don't have the ability to pay and it stops performing. Well, with how this is set up, when that point comes, it's a very short eviction process, not a foreclosure process. Right. That's how we've done our paperwork. We want to make sure that people understand that because it's 20 days or less. It'll never cost more than $80 to evict somebody, and then we can get that note reperforming again with our list of qualified buyers, and then that note starts over from day one, which is only going to accelerate or generate bigger returns for our investors.
Correct. What are the average rates of return that you've been selling these notes at for your investors that they're seeing?
Anywhere from 11 to 15.
Okay, all right. On traits, not money or time, but personal characteristics. What are something that a successful real estate investor, mobile home investor needs to have? Like one or two traits that without this they're probably not going to do well.
Tenacity would be one. Just relentlessness. I mean, just get after it. Like Mike talked about earlier, when he first got into this field, everybody was telling him no. Everybody, including mentors. So if he had every opportunity to stop, and he just pushed right through. So tenacity is definitely one of those traits. And then the other thing is just believe in yourself. I mean, people have already been there. People have already done it. Other people want to help you, whether you believe it or not. Just put yourself out there.
To tell people why they should listen to you, or where did you come from before you got started in mobile home investing? When did you get started in mobile home investing? We'll talk about those two things first.
Sure. Quick background. I actually went to college, got a business degree in real estate, and found out shortly after I graduated college, it didn't really teach me a whole lot about real estate. So went and worked for a mortgage bank, underwrote some mortgage loans, moved out to Las Vegas, quit that job, got my real estate license, thinking it had something to do with investing. Shortly found out that wasn't the case either. And then met up with this guy probably a few months after that. So just been diving deep into investing, and been doing mobile home investing for about 7 months now.
Okay, 7 months on Chris's side.
Yeah, and then for me, I would say just over a year ago. I want to say it was like November of last year. So just over a year. I basically had like 3 conversations. I had just moved down here to Vegas from Oregon, where I'm from, and to invest in real estate. I knew there's a bigger market down here, a lot more learning going on down here. Got down here and sat back and looked at the market and looked at where the possibilities were. And I had 3 different conversations in 1 week with 3 different guys in 3 different states, and they all 3 of those conversations literally meshed in my head at the same time, and it was about investing in mobile homes and manufactured homes, and I'm like, so I wonder what the opportunity is. And just from there, I just set out, and I made it, that I was gonna make it. I was gonna find an opportunity and make it happen, and that's what I did. I mean, I had multiple people tell me, there wasn't anything there. I had multiple park managers tell me what I was doing was illegal. I had other people tell me what I was doing was illegal. Yeah, I would say, November of last year is really when I started, educate myself, getting, versed in manufactured homes. Before that I had done, I have one rental up in Oregon. I did 1 flip up in Oregon before I came down here. Other than that, lots of learning for probably the 7 years before that, books, podcasts, all that. And so, we were looking through the dates the other day, getting ready for this, and it dawned on me that my very first deal was February of this year, and it was a crazy story. I had found out about these tax sales with these homes, and actually went to one. And with the tax sale, the rules are you're allowed to bid, and then you're allowed 24 hours to go to the office and pay for the home that you had just won in the auction. And so I went to this tax auction, and I was the only one there besides the park manager. My knowledge of what was going on, or how the money went, through the learning I had found, was that this lady was not going to get any of the money. She thought she was. And she actually ended up bidding me up to, it was a really nice, I want to say it was like a 98, double wide, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, really nice park.
Nice.
And the bidding started at $300, and she bid me all the way up, and she's got her attorney, or I shouldn't say her attorney, but the company, who owned the park's attorney standing behind her, telling her to bid me up. And I'm telling her the whole time, I'm like, you're not going to get this money. And she, at the time she was upset, but later on she apologized, but she bid me up to $1,800. And at that time last year, I was living paycheck to paycheck. I did not have the $1,800 in my account to go pay the next day for this home, and I was going to lose it if I didn't go pay. So I went and found some private money, and went and paid the $1,800, got the home. I won the home at that auction on a Wednesday at noon. By Thursday night at 8:00, at a networking event, I had sold that home for $12,000.
Cash?
Cash.
Yes.
Cash.
So you found this one. I mean, you found it. You moved on it. I'd like to go back when people were telling you that this couldn't be done, that this, what you were doing was illegal, and that would have stopped a lot of people right there. They would have gotten afraid. They would have gotten apprehensive. Oh, I'll just go back to my job, and forget about my dreams. But you
Yeah.
And folks like you, we have that point in our life where we kind of hit that wall, whatever it might be. Other people telling us, we get demotivated, but you just kept going and you found out what was illegal, what was illegal, and now you do things legally, and you're going gangbusters in your area, capitalizing on a huge market. So that was your very first deal. Since we're talking about it, let's go. So that was just a quick, easy, fast turn deal. So that got you some money in your pocket.
Yep.
Now,
And that's really where I got hooked. I mean, just over 24 hours and just over $10,000 in profit. Like I was like, there's something here. So, yeah, the next few deals after that were cash, and then I got your course. I want to say like April or May.
Okay.
And shortly after there, from there on, it's been all finance deals the rest of the year. So,
you mind telling the Paradise Trail story?
Oh, definitely take the lead on that.
Which one? Gotcha. So, yeah, Paradise Trails is here. It's a park here in Vegas. It's in the southwest part of town. Very nice part of town. As far as rating parks, it would be an A+ park. Very lots of newer homes in there, and I got a lead on a nice double wide in there, and went in, spent a little bit more money than I normally would have to rehab it because I figured a little bit higher quality buyer, and this thing. I mean, I thought this thing would fly off the market in 2 days once I had it listed. And we ended up sitting on this thing for 6 months.
Yeah.
6 months. And, in the end, I ended up finding out that there was basically a mole in the park, an old lady that was not only deleting our ads and steering people away from our home, but stopping people from buying my home, and she would try and sell them something else. And I mean, over time, as I got more versed in understanding the parks here in Vegas, I mean, I had way not as nice parks that homes were flying off the market, and we would list them and they would sell in a week. And here's this thing, super nice, double wide, super nice on the inside, and we weren't getting any calls, and it sat for 6 months. And finally, I went to the owner or not the owner, she's the regional manager of the park, and I just told her, I said, there's something up, and I'm going to get it figured out, and I ended up I went and did some investigating. I called on one of the other homes that was for sale in the park, and called the number, and it rang to a lady in the park, and I just played like I was just another buyer, and kept her on the phone for a good 30 minutes and got so much information out of her that she basically gave up her whole deal, that she helps the people in the park sell their homes, which is illegal. She doesn't have a license. She takes the commission for helping them sell. I mean, major things that are wrong. And then, alongside of that, the park doesn't want that in their park because that gives the park a bad name. And so I contacted the regional manager, let her know the information I found out, so she called and spoke to not only because the park manager, we still don't know if she was somewhat in on that too, but connected to this lady that was in the back part of this park. But I mean, once that happened, literally within 2 weeks, the home was sold.
Incredible that was. So this one, it seems really weird that the park manager didn't know what was going on.
She's such a nice lady, and she's always nice to me to my face. And I would hate to think that, but the thing that happened that gave it away, I ended up showing this to somebody who got, I want to say he got a lead that we were selling homes from from a different source. So it wasn't from like the actual ad or anything. And I showed him the home, and he's like, "Oh, I love it. Let's, and this happened super quick. Like there was no time for this lady to interject. He's like, I love it. I want to fill out an application today." I'm like, "All right." I told him where the front of the office was and where to get the application. As he's driving out, I just followed him because I was like, at this point, it was 5 months. I'm like, I'm coddling this guy, like, please. Yeah. And so I followed him into the office, and I must have walked in the door 20 seconds after he did. And this guy was a Hispanic guy. The park manager wasn't there, but the park maintenance guy is the park manager's husband, and he is Hispanic as well. When I walked in 20 seconds behind him, the park maintenance guy had his phone out. They were speaking Spanish. He was giving his number to my buyer, and a few days later, I followed up the guy. He's like, I decided to go with another home in that park. And so that for me is like where I started like really like, okay, something's going on. So he ended up buying a older single wide and paid more for it than we were asking for our double wide.
And what is the average time? This was an anomaly, but the average time to get normal homes sold or every other home sold?
Month.
Okay. At most.
A month.
Where it should be. So when no one's screwing with you or sabotaging your business, the homes, obviously, what people want to buy. They're priced accordingly. They're ready to go. They're in good parks, good areas. Incredible. That doesn't happen often. And for the folks listening, that's like the weird thing that doesn't happen often, but great thing to point out. Why the heck isn't you weren't even getting calls? No one was even seeing the marketing to get the call. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so that was would you say that's like the worst deal that you've ever done, or not really? Because
I mean, we still ended up making money off that because we bought it right. I mean, I think we were into that thing. Well, after we ended up paying a couple months of that space rent, but once the regional park manager found out what was going on and believed us or believed what was going on, she concessed a couple months. So I think we got a couple months of those back. But I think we still ended up being into that thing like a 6,000, and we sold it for 20.
Yeah, 19,830.
19. So yeah, I mean, we still made money. It was just definitely a headache, and it was just, it was trying to figure out, like, I just didn't get it. I mean, I really, really didn't get it. I mean, there was, homes in worse parks that were in worse condition that they wouldn't, stay on the market at all. And then there's this really nice location, nice part of town, beautiful park, beautiful amenities in the park, well-kept park, and it just sat. And I'm just like, wow. And I mean, we didn't show it to a lot of people either because we weren't getting any calls on it.
But let's talk about this logically. You're in a you're in a great area of Las Vegas. You're in a good park that likes you. You're in a park that's not going anywhere. It's it's only, you're putting more people in it and it's growing. The homes speak for themselves, and if they don't, you're going to rehab them so they speak for themselves. You're going to get good people in that are approved with Doug, the mortgage loan originator, who's state approved, who knows just what he's doing, who's been doing this for 13 plus years. You have the paperwork. So really, the most, you're stacking everything in your favor, and I think it's important for me to mention that the two variables here, because you really stacked everything in your favor. The two variables are who you put in the home. Because if you put someone terrible in there, that's a deadbeat, it's going to make everyone's life bad. But you're not doing that. You're putting in an approved person.
But hold on right there.
Yeah.
It won't make everybody's life terrible. If they, we guarantee the first 6 months of payments.
Great.
On our notes to all of our investors. So worst case scenario for one of our investors would be on month 7, the last month that we're not with them as far as we don't guarantee. If they go bad on that 7th month, we take the home back. Our investors, note buyers, whoever they are on that end, they never hear from. They're not getting the calls in the middle of the night. They're not landlords. They're just the bank, and they're not getting the calls. Hey, I can't make my payment. The worst thing they ever have to do is call me on the 5th or call us on the 5th and say, hey, I did not receive the payment for such and such, unit. I go out, knock on the door, rectify the situation. If we got to take it back, we take it back, get it reperforming. And again, the process is 20 days. By the 20th of the month, we take the home back. Of the 30 that we've done this year, we've taken 2 back. The first one, I had that one resold within 3 weeks of taking it back. The second one, we had it resold by the time the people moved out. So.
I like that you brought that fact up because, number one, you're now guaranteeing the first, 6 months payments?
6 months.
First 6 months of payments that, those are going to be received. And then you stay, whether this note is 5 or 10 years or 2 years or 50 years, that's a huge. Remember I said that there's 2 variables. One is who you're putting in the home, which again is qualified, very qualified by Doug, who's supposed to be doing this. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is you, because, I'm not in Las Vegas all the time. And having somebody there that can be the eyes and ears and know what they're doing. And you're right. If we get the home back in 2-3 years, I'm not going to lose any sleep because we'll resell it for another 5 or 6 years worth of payments. But having you there is beyond. You couldn't pay for that. The peace of mind knowing that you guys are there. Anyway.
Very true. But what I'll say to that though is, and this is something that I've recently, again, in conversation with these note buyers that have been buying regular real estate notes for 20 years, you look at the process that these guys, because a lot of these note buyers nationwide, they buy notes in other states that they're not in, and they don't have people set up there. But look at the process that they have to go through to take a home back in a city that they're not there. They have to hire a real estate agent. They have to hire a lawyer. They have to hire a GC. I mean, with this, going to what you just said as far as having us here, yeah, that's huge. We have a mastermind group that we've really broke down this business model, and looking at the risks as far as associated with this vehicle. Basically, what you're talking about would be that me, him, and Doug, we all died like tomorrow, God forbid, So, but if you take that away and you look at if you're educated on the process of what it takes to really take one of these things back and get it reperforming again, it's super easy. I mean, you hire a handyman guy to go out and if you live in another town or in another state, hire a handyman guy to go out and put the paper on their door for the eviction process. He'll probably do it for next to nothing because you're going to hire him to do the rehabs that is needed for the home. He rehabs the home. You list it. Maybe same guy, or if you want to hire a real estate agent to show the home to the people, the prospective buyers, and boom, you're off to the races again. It's a super easy process. But I agree with you that having us here, obviously, huge. But even if we did go away, comparing it again to regular real estate, the process is so much simpler, so much.
What's the cash layout typically for an investor that's purchasing your note?
Cash layout as far as how much they're spending?
Correct.
So the notes, they usually get sold for par. So whatever the note is set at, they pick it up for that par. Okay. If we have had cases where we have discounted the notes before. So if it's a $16,000 note and we want to help, whatever reason, if we were really looking to build a relationship with that person, we want to get them a better return on their money. If it's a $16,000 note, we decide to give them 15% return on their money, then we just discount the note. And so instead of selling them that note at par at $16,000, we would sell it to them for say $14,500. And helps them get to.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you. And you said that the interest is typically set at 11.
It is always set at 11.2.
Okay.
And that is something that Doug has set. It's not the highest. He backed it off from the highest. But, something about the 11.2 that I'll say as far as the people that are going into these homes, a lot of these people that are going into these homes, they're used to seeing 20 and 30%, interest rates for credit cards and other, buying a vehicle. When they see 11.2, they're happy. Mm-hmm. To them, that's a reasonable, super reasonable number, and they're content. So.
Even with someone with good credit, that's a decent for a mobile home in a park. Yeah. You're doing this business for the past year, almost 30 deals. What's 2016 goals?
So for myself, specifically in the mobile home space, I want to scale this. I think we've talked about it a little bit here today. We've done enough market research. There is the ability to scale this to 16 to 20 of these notes a month and 16 to 20 of these homes a month. The inventory is there. The buyers for the homes are there. It's just right now getting the education out about the backside and solving that at a high level. So that I putting a fairly hefty goal on myself to own a park by the end of the year, nice. And then I would like to have 10 regular rental real estate properties cash flowing by the end of the year.
Excellent. I love that. Go big. Don't,
Yeah.
What I want 5 homes here and there, or maybe. No, you're aiming big, and then even if you fall a little bit short or go over, even if you fall a little short, that's going to be incredible. So,
yeah.
And so wonderful. Chris, for you?
Yeah.
One of our mentors, he harps on us in terms of getting as many multiple streams of income as possible. So I recently started dabbling with ATM machines. So that's something that I actually want to start building up and going that route, and just discovering other alternative ways to have passive income. Nice. So that's something I'm going to be really working on this year.
Oh, right on. That's different. Cool. Wow. I know very little about that.
I set a goal this year for 2015 to make over $100,000, and I blew that out of the water. Gross profits, and I think I shot you some pictures of some bank statements. But recently I looked, and we got 2 more deals that'll probably happen by the end of the year. Gross profits by the end of the year probably be $240,000.
That's excellent. And but with that said, folks listening, that did not come from nothing. That was hard work. That was positioning yourself. That was mistakes. That was learning lessons, a bunch of anxiety. And now you're in a really good spot. You have had good contacts with people. People like you and trust you, which you can't buy, I don't think, in any business. So I just thank you so much for being here and pouring your heart out to this. And folks, get in contact with me if you have any questions about these two. Please feel free to contact them. I'm always available as well if you have any questions. Thank you again both for being here, and everyone watching. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Appreciate it.
Take care.